Whispers whisper when the lights go dim. Cold breath crawling on my skin. Voices echo from the other side. Is it real or just my mind? Things paranormal talks in the dark. Secrets buried leave a burning mark. We interview the dead, we debate the unknown. Chasing shadows where the seeds are sown. Fingers tapping on a Ouija board. Broken silence like a shattered chord. Eerie hums in the dead.
Why is it not working? Because I didn't click it. Something had to go wrong.
You overdone yourself this time.
I can do that. That's a nice blooper.
Yeah, it is. It is. It is.
Well, anyhow, welcome everybody to New Things Paranormal Talks. Today, it's not
Yeah,
funny.
it is. It is.
Sticking out my
You.
tongue for the people who don't watch. Hello, everybody. Um, Tonight we have a guest, and his name is Jehan, and I hope I'm pronouncing it right.
Jehan.
Jehan. See,
Mhm.
we learn something every day
You learn
by
something
Yeah,
every
pronouncing
day.
names the correct way.
you and
Yeah, absolutely.
names.
Don't start with me.
Yeah.
Don't start with me. All right, welcome. Thank you for
Thanks
coming
for
on.
having me.
Yeah, of course. How you doing?
Doing good. It's hot and sticky like the devil's jockstrap here in Barbados, but hey, what are you gonna do?
Yeah, nothing. Nothing.
Yeah.
Um, for everybody who is listening and watching, can you introduce yourself and tell us what you do?
Well, I mostly just breathe, but sometimes I'm a self-sabotage coach and hypnotherapist, and I specialize in subconscious reprogramming, behavioral transformation stuff. I help people break really bad internal patterns, basically. So that's what I do. I'm also the host of the Boundless Authenticity podcast, which you've been a guest on,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
and that episode comes out soon. And I have another podcast called Why You Self Sabotage and How to Heal from It.
Nice.
Hmm.
Very interesting.
It
Yeah.
is. It's completely my field.
Right.
That's why I wanted to have you and to talk about this stuff because most people have those self sabotage problem and they get stuck into old patterns and don't come out and hey, there we are.
Mm. Yeah. You know, th- People ask me, how'd you become the expert in self sabotage? And I said, by being an expert in self sabotage.
Exactly. Yeah,
Yeah.
we learn from our own past, and it's handy. It's really handy. But for starters, you told us uh, you had your paranormal experiences yourself.
Oh, yeah.
Can you
Too
share
many.
some?
You ever
Many.
have so many paranormal experiences you just forget them all when somebody asks you about them? You're like, yeah, there's been so many. But from the time I was a child, I would see things and my parents would be like, "What is wrong with you, child?" And my mother especially would be like, "Shh, don't scare your father." And I would see like we used to have this really big clock. So it was essentially a painting, a big rectangular painting, and it was of the ocean and it had boats on the ocean at sunset, and in the top right corner there was a clock. And from the time I was 3 years old on to about 3 or 4 or 5 until they moved it. Oh, also I have a bird and he's trying to land on me. Say hey bird.
Oh,
Um
That's cool.
when I was about five or so, I remember I would be laughing at this thing, and my parents would be like, "Wait, what is he laughing at?" And I started telling my mother, "Don't you see the face in the clock?" And she'd be like, "What face?" And she was like, "Don't tell your father. You'll scare him." So we kind of agreed not to talk about it. But then from that time onwards, I was having these really weird dreams too. Like I remember being taken up in a spaceship and looking out through the window and seeing the earth and stuff like that and feeling like there was a presence behind me with its hand on my shoulder and different things like that. And I always saw stuff around the house. I remember I got up because when I was like about 6 or 7, my big thing was getting up in the middle of the night hungry, and I would go get some juice and some cookies out the fridge. And this is when everybody else is sleeping, right? So I'm trying to be quiet. And I get in the kitchen one night and I see a young girl with dark brown hair, and she's about, I mean, the complexion of the palm of my hand, basically. She's very translucent looking, even though I could see her like she was solid, and she was wearing this long white dress. And the next day, I say to my mom, I got to get some juice, and I saw this little girl in the kitchen. Who's that? And she was like, "Oh, that must be Faith." And she said it so nonchalantly. I was like, well, "Who the heck is Faith?" Right? And she's like, she then had to tell me a story because my mom's the youngest child, but there was one that came after her that didn't survive. She died as a baby, right? So
Wow.
yeah, so stuff like that would happen. But I'll let you ask me some more questions.
That's
Um,
gotta be there's gonna be so many questions about everything that you have been through, and then we probably go with the flow, and there's more questions coming. So, um, did you ever manage to communicate with your mom's sister, or did it
Never,
happen again?
never. That never happened to me again, but it did happen to my mother a couple years later. It happened to her, and then it just stopped. I suspect she probably found a way to cross over or something after that. Um, but around here where I live on a place called Brighton Beach in Barbados, and it's where back in the days of the early slave trade and the establishment of the plantation system, they would dock just a distance from here. This entire land was plantation land. There were slaves that were died and buried here. Um, Prior to that, so you're talking about prior to the 1600s, there were the Caribs and the Arawaks, which were the indigenous people who lived in this area, and they would travel via canoes and stuff from point to point, and they would fight. And so I've seen a lot of activity. I've seen slaves who seem to be perpetually stuck in motion doing some kind of traditional dance while walking on the beach just after sunset. I've seen um, other people, entities wearing certain periods of clothing, looks like 1920s and stuff like that, walking on the roads at night. I've heard something that we traditionally refer to as a steel donkey, and it's normally accompanied by the dragging of chains, the sound on the ground. You hear the hoofs and stuff on the road, things like that. So I've experienced a lot of different things like that that are rooted in cultural lore. I've been driving in the middle of the country in a place called St. George and seen coffins appear in the middle of the road and swerve to get out of the way. And then when I look in the rear view mirror, they're gone. Different things like that. So there's a lot of darkness. I wouldn't call it witchcraft, although that really boils down to being what it is, because I think that apart from the bloodshed that has marred the entire country, there's this element of residual effects from these slaves having to practice different forms of spiritual manipulation, because they weren't allowed to have access to the Bible and different things like that, right? Like that was their punishment.
Mhm.
They were like, basically, they were like, "You're stupid, so you can't have access to any higher wisdom." And anyone that tried to create anything like that was punished, killed, whatever, you know. So there's a lot of that kind of stuff.
That's a lot of cruel stuff.
A lot of cruelty, yeah. And
So
we are known for they say that the Barbados Slave Code, which was created in the early 1600s, is the manuscript for how slavery was done across the rest of the world.
yeah,
So you have a lot of pain still stuck in the land, and as you know, doing your work, how that goes.
yeah, exactly.
Hmm.
Oh, I have so much trouble reading. Mary, you go read because I can't read it.
Uh, yeah,
Let me see. Oh, that's brighter. Underlining corruption. Yeah, definitely.
yeah.
Um, by witchcraft in Barbados, because it's something, and it's something I'm interested in. But is that some sort of almost the same as voodoo?
Yeah, there's a lot of dark magic and stuff, and you have apart from the slaves and stuff who practice different forms of dark magic, unknown to them, there were people who brought those traditions over, indigenous I'm not using the right word here, indentured servants
Mhm.
from India and other places like that that came to the Caribbean. They all had their own different forms of things, and you hear about Obeah, and you hear about all of the African religions and things that came across.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
So you get
that could be a reason of spirits still lingering on there.
yeah,
I think
yeah, definitely.
that's
There's a lot of
yeah.
contracts. Yeah.
Yeah,
See, now I have a new country to live in.
I'm sure if you came here for a visit and you explored, you would just stumble onto a whole world of shit
Oh,
that
trust me,
hasn't been
Barbados
looked
is one of
into.
my bucket lists.
Yeah.
Hmm. Still have to go there. I
yeah.
have
Yeah.
so
I
many
mean,
countries on my list.
there
Not
are
enough
places around
income.
here. There are places around here that you see they have a definite imprint left on them. Like something bad happened there a long time ago. And there's even places that I walk on the beach where I try to avoid walking them because I have to say to myself, I hope I don't pass through a portal and end up in like a really messed up situation. And some usually when I do say that, I end up walking through one, and then like stuff goes badly in my life. Or you'll be walking on the beach and you feel like somebody's following you, and as soon as you turn around, you hear it scampering and stuff like that. So
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
love
So,
it.
a tip for
Sorry.
yourself: don't go saying, "I don't hope I walk through one." You're jinxing yourself, dude.
yeah,
You should not do that.
mhm.
Sounds a lot like me.
Yeah. A
Yeah,
lot of
I would have
times
the
I
same.
just because I have developed a proper sensitivity to it. A lot of times I just put my hand out and I try to feel where those threads start, and then I just go away from that and get around it. Sometimes you can see it too. I really think that some of these portals are very active, and I have no idea what all comes through them or where they go to.
Hmm.
And I have no interest in knowing. I'm
I'm
staying out of it.
curious, but not physically.
Yeah.
I will read about it, but I will never try to go through one
Uh,
to see what happens on the other side. No, thank you.
I don't know. I don't know.
Well,
Mhm.
if you think about it, there's so many bad and negative entities coming through a portal like that that
Yeah.
make your life, well, literally shit.
Mhm.
It's not something I want to go to.
Yeah.
Uh, no, no, not freely, but um, I think it's a great experience to encounter something more negative because it's not that often that we encounter it.
True.
Yeah, so it makes me curious.
Okay, take a camera. You tell me.
I see Mojo mentioning Santeria Do you have any experience in that?
I've never had any experience with anything like that, but I know that people have um, done certain things like that to try to get at me and stuff in the past. You're talking like 20 years ago and things like that.
Okay,
Yeah.
Hmm.
I've
that's
never
not
seen
nice.
anyone say, I've never seen anyone that said, "Hey, I'm into Santeria." Like whatever they're into, I don't even think they know what they're into. To be honest with you, that's one of the things I found about people that are into the dark arts.
Yeah,
Because there's people like Samantha, I think I got her name right, that have a good understanding of the spiritual aspect of like whatever people call witchcraft, and I think that's the wrong name for it because I think that the bad stuff is probably like what you gotta call witchcraft. The other stuff is more faith based. I think the good stuff is more faith based, but a lot of the other stuff is just about making contracts with these entities to do bad stuff for you.
Yeah.
And
yeah,
that's the kind of weird stuff that people in Hollywood are into, and the people that run the world are into, and all that. The people that are trying to not gonna say it out loud because they might
Hmm.
yeah,
Yeah.
but the people that are trying to do that to the average person and kids and stuff like that are into that weird stuff. And I know that there's a lot of people around here that are into that. I know that politically there's a lot of stuff linked to that kind of thing. You
Yep.
will see from time to time on beaches, you will see where people have done rituals. Every once in a while, you'll hear about animals that are found disemboweled or hanging from trees and things like that.
yeah.
And there's like ritual objects and stuff. So I know that things like that happen around here for sure.
Hmm. Yeah. I don't like those people.
Yeah.
Me neither.
And it's not just because of the rituals. I mean, you do your ritual, but you leave your animals alone.
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
can't help it. They're being an animal. But
Mhm.
I had a question. I lost it.
Um, the question is also, are you strong enough to encounter the negative side?
You have to be
Um,
to live here and not be affected by it. You have to be strong
Mhm.
enough. And in my kind
yeah,
of work, people don't necessarily class paranormal activity with self sabotage, but they'd be surprised.
Oh
yeah,
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, definitely. But to answer that question, I am strong enough to do that, but I'm not
are
willing
you
to go in the
willing?
portal to
Yeah,
look for it.
no,
Well, you see, the
exactly.
the thing with that question is that you have to develop your spiritual senses, and you also have to understand that along with that, we have dominion over these entities. They think that by keeping us in fear that they can get something out of that. And I'm talking about the real dark ones. I'm not talking about the
Yeah,
ghosts that are running around trapped on land and stuff like that. Like they're like they're like humans that are stuck and just need to be crossed over.
Yeah,
A lot of people like to have conversations with them or try to provoke them or do different things for views on TV, but you need to have compassion for them. They're lost. Imagine if you got
yeah,
lost somewhere in a country you didn't know where you were and you just wanted help. So you have to make that distinction clear for some people. It's not all bad. It's actually not paranormal. It's normal. It's normal stuff. The
yeah,
only difference between us and them is we have a meat suit.
yeah,
And so it's the really, really bad ones that try to get on you and want to hijack your life because they don't have a body. And fundamentally, they just hate humans, really.
yeah,
And they just, they can only function if you don't understand that you have authority over them. You can tell them to go at any point. But people derive certain benefits by self sabotaging. And there's this thing called secondary gains. And it's like when you chew a piece of gum, but you put the wrapper in your pocket, telling yourself you're going to throw it away. And you're going to put the gum in the wrapper and throw it in the garbage, and you never do. You just spit the gum out somewhere, you throw it in the garbage, and the wrapper is still in your pocket.
yeah,
The subconscious mind doesn't like anything outside of normal. It likes comfortable pain. It really does. The more painful it is, it seems to be the more attractive it is to the subconscious. And malevolent spirits love that, right? They will go and try to attach themselves to anyone who is willingly consenting to that. And normally in this kind of work, you'll find certain things that you say, you'll see people's eyes will change, or all of a sudden they'll start, I don't know, talking like they're in a heavy metal band. They'll be like fry vocals. They'll be like, ah, and you're like, okay, get out of here, okay? Like, we're not even dealing with this.
Mm.
But normally these are the people who are having suicidal ideations. Um, these are the people who don't want to do anything. I had to tell off somebody just the other day because sometimes they want to get into it with you. And one thing that they love to do, people typically class this as narcissism, but it's actually entity related. They like to turn everything you say around on you. You're the problem,
Yeah.
or they just can't hear anything you're saying. If you're a Christian person, you would normally think of the not being able to hear anything as Leviathan. And if you're in that realm, you're talking about a Jezebel spirit in a person that's displaying narcissistic behaviors and they want to
Hmm.
manipulate and control everything.
Yeah.
Um, I don't really know what the name for it is in the other spiritual areas. I just know that they exist and they're dangerous because you will often find these people are saying all kinds of things that sound like they want to change, but no matter what, because they have an agreement with this entity on an unconscious level, they are not going to ever give up those habits. And
Nope.
it
No.
becomes extremely problematic because the more you probe at certain questions, you could have the best questioning frameworks. You could have the best techniques. You could hypnotize them until they're blue in the face and they will never change. And they will always say, yeah, yeah, that sounds good. And then they don't do it. Or
Mm.
they will argue with you. And like, yeah, like I was saying, I had to tell off somebody yesterday and I was like, I'm just going to step away from the conversation because you're not prepared to do anything. It's been a long time we've been working on stuff and you haven't done anything at all. You've done the bare minimum,
Yeah.
which is just show up to the sessions. So, like, when you're dealing with those kinds of people, they just will always have another excuse and another excuse. And it's for them to realize on their own that they're dealing with a contract, an agreement that they've made, and they have to renounce it on their own. You
Yeah.
can't tell them like Christians are wacky like this. No offense to anybody that might be, but Christians tend not to understand the difference between what's said in the church and what is done in like demonology and deliverance ministry and things like that, which those things work too. It's just that when sometimes if you have a deliverance minister that doesn't know you have to put the entity in a container and send it somewhere, the shit just jumps out of that person and jumps into somebody else, you know?
Yep. It sure does.
So they're out there trying to cast this stuff out and it's just hopping from Ben to John to Sally to whoever to try to get it fixed based on how that person lives their lives. You have to be mentally strong and pretty self-aware in order to deal with those things. Now, interestingly enough, I just said self-aware. I always know when somebody's dealing with entity issues when they continue to preach to me how self-aware they are. If they repetitively say I'm pretty self-aware, I know that they're not. Because the only question that matters
Yeah.
is how aware are you of how aware you are from day to
Yeah.
day. And
Yeah.
these things are so good at hijacking your thinking that you would never know. You could be Jesus himself and you wouldn't know when something's acting until you get halfway into the middle of making a choice, right?
Yep.
Um so it's problematic. It really is problematic. And like I said, no matter what you say or do, they will argue to keep their behavior or they just won't do anything and they'll always be a victim, perpetual victims.
Hmm.
And
Yeah.
you just got to stay away from those people because every time you engage with them, you're putting yourself at risk for whatever's in them to get on you as well because that creates an agreement. It
Yeah.
brings you to
Exactly.
like a negative state, you know?
Yeah. They will pull you down.
Yeah. I deal with it in a rough way. I block everything. So they can't call me, they can't mail me, they can't visit me. if I'm done, I'm done, and I shut off all connections,
Mhm.
and not just for now, but for always.
Mhm.
Yep.
No one is putting me at risk of dealing with that behavior.
Yeah, and you can. It can be that simple. You just tell them to shut up. You shut up and go away.
Yeah,
Like
but
I.
some do, some don't, and they
Yeah.
keep coming back and
Oh yeah.
coming back. Well,
Mhm.
I don't have the time or the energy or even the mood to engage with it, and Shane knows how.
She's very
How,
simple in that regard.
yeah,
Mhm.
if I'm done, I'm giving you one chance, and the second time it's bye bye. Have a great life.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yep.
I see that we have some questions here, but this writing is so small.
Give me a
Um.
second. It's probably
This person says maybe you should try it to see how strong you are. If there is a person on your what?
sorry.
On
Is it better?
If there's a person on your side that can protect you and is strong enough. I don't think you heard everything I just said prior to that, or did you?
I
Probably no.
I can handle it.
yeah,
Um, Jahan, do you believe or are you convinced that all things living and spiritual are consciousness and all connected? And if so, what made you aware of this or not? That's a good question. What
yeah,
is consciousness? It's ineffable. You can never put a description on what consciousness is. Thus far, we've just been able to quantify it by saying everything is energy, everything's energetic. Can we be even more reductionist about that definition? I'm sure we can. But to answer your question, everything essentially has some kind of consciousness, some kind of energy that animates it.
yeah,
What made me aware of this is the deeper question. I was never a normal person. That's it. I was never like anybody else. From the time I was a child back to the extra normal activities, I remember the first time I became self aware of the world around me. It was pretty early. I was about 5 or 6 years old, and I was in my yard just playing in the grass and stuff. And then all of a sudden, it was like there was a lightning bolt. There was a big light flashing, and um, everything stopped. And I became acutely aware of the fact that I could see out from behind my eyes. So I was no longer like a regular child, just la di da di da going along my day and stuff. And I looked around and I was surrounded by dragonflies. And I was like, this is pretty not normal. Like, this just doesn't happen. And I think after that, because I was always a kid that read a lot of books and stuff, I had a lot of questions. So I think I became aware that the world wasn't what it was a little too early for the liking of most people. And I think I battled throughout my life to a certain age with the idea of what is God and what is spirituality and what, is there this consciousness thing? Is there a soul? Things like that. People
yeah,
would ask me that all the time. And I happened to choose music as a profession. So I actually started doing that when I was 14. And I knew something special was happening whenever I played music. And so I just kind of like for the time was able to tie it to that, like my idea of spirituality to whatever was happening. You get on stage, all these lights are flashing in your face, and everything's so loud, and it dulls some of your senses, but it heightens others, and then you just feel like something comes down, taps you on the top of your head, and next thing you know, you played the greatest show of your life, and you don't remember any of it. And
mhm,
that was really my introduction to being aware of the spiritual realm, I think, which led to more questions. And for me, I don't think I'll ever stop asking questions. Like I ask an annoying number of questions.
Hey, it's better to ask a lot of questions than don't ask them at all.
Hmm.
That's
yeah. I
something I
agree.
noticed. Yeah,
Yeah.
especially in the field.
Hmm.
Hmm.
I always keep asking why.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
never stopped asking why.
Trust me, it's very annoying.
Yeah,
Hmm.
No,
I know it's annoying.
no, it's not. It's fine. I'd rather ask. I'd rather let you ask why and be um, skeptic about it than believe everything that happens.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's never annoying. You better ask me 25 times in one
Mhm.
session than don't ask me at all, and it probably is nothing.
Yeah.
So
Exactly. Well, you do hypnosis, and do you only use it in self-sabotage, or do you use it for other things as well?
Well, what exactly are you asking? Because I use it on
Well,
myself.
well, a friend of mine is a hypno expert, and he is using hypnosis to lose weight, to stop smoking, to gain weight, to get over the fear of driving cars, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, yeah. I work on basic fears like that all the time: anxiety, stress, depression, all those things. People want to stop smoking. People want to lose weight. People want to do this. They want to do that. They want to stop having panic attacks. All these different things. And for the most part, the main requests though are people who just want to stop with their self sabotage because they realize that they've been to other practitioners for different things, traditional talk therapy or even hypnotherapy in some cases. And they're like, well, it didn't work that time. And I'm like, okay, well, it's not that it doesn't work. It's that you had somebody that didn't understand what was going on and they just missed something, you know? So it's not like you can just write a script for somebody the first day, like every time.
Yeah.
Sometimes it takes 2 or 3 sessions to really understand what is the root cause of it and
Hmm.
try to get to that. Like a lot of times people know on the surface too. So anxiety is just trying to look down the timeline at things and trying to anticipate what's going to happen next. And for some people, it's because they were traumatized and the body remembers that. And for other people, it's more mental. Like they're just trying to control certain things that they don't really need to control, you know?
Yeah. In which you don't have control over
Hmm.
at all, because it's simply not possible. Yeah, I know people like that. I do. I've been to an expert, and I wanted to stop smoking, and um, I went far. I went really, really, really deep in, and then he started talking about infants who die from the kiss of death, and infants who were found dead in the crib because of they had smokers in their area. And he went on a road. I came completely out because he was talking so much bullshit. I was
What the
out
heck
of
does any of
hypnosis.
that have to do with wanting to stop smoking? What does it have to do
It's
with your life? What did he think that had to do with you?
it had to do nothing with me,
And he
absolutely
was
nothing.
and he
And
was saying all this while you were
in
in a
hypnosis,
trance?
yeah, yeah,
That
yeah,
is very bizarre.
it is, yeah. And if you're telling me it's bad, I know it's bad, and I know it's addictive, and then I come along on the ride. But don't drag in things in which I know from school, from the science classes. It is bullshit what you're talking about, because I will be out of hypnosis in a second. Like, what were we doing? Okay, yeah, right.
Mhm.
So you have to dive into the people who you are treating, but also what they know, what they learned, um, everything. You know, you have to know so much.
Yeah, so the process of being hypnotized is collaborative always. There's never an aspect where you should be not giving your consent unless you're dealing with MK Ultra or something like that. You know, you got locked up in a government facility.
Yeah.
um, the interesting thing that people don't understand is that your brain has to go through a certain number of cycles per second every day in order to process trillions of bits of information. And so, for at least 7 hours a day, your brain is in alpha brainwave state because it's trying to process all that information and wire things properly and all that, right? So, people don't realize that they're mostly in this state of hypnosis. They're right on the edge of it. And when people get traumatized, it's essentially like a state of hypnosis because the medial prefrontal cortex deactivates for a split second, and that's what creates the memory and the imprint of the trauma. And so essentially when you're dealing with trauma victims, you're trying to re-access that moment to show them that what they experienced and what's keeping them in bondage is just a snapshot of an event that happened. And there's this thing that happens, just I'm just saying all this stuff, you guys may have heard this before, but I'm just saying it for people listening. There's a theory that you delete 80% of what you experience because it's just so much when you're traumatized, right? So you're actually making conclusions off of very little information at all. It's like being like a horse with blinders or something. You're just
Yeah.
trying to run the race. You're just trying to get through, and it's a terrible thing. But it's just a protection mechanism. And if more people understood that what's running is a pattern and you're not broken, it would change a lot of lives like instantly.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, there's a lot of money in convincing people that you're broken. But
Mm-hmm.
when back to the consensual part, when you're in a trance, you can open your eyes anytime you want. It's the same thing, it's just relaxing.
Yeah.
And when I say it's collaborative, the idea is to engage a technique called utilization, which is everything the person says. It's kind of like TV police, where they're like, everything you say can and will be used against you in a court of law.
Yeah.
Everything you say that you describe in your mental environment can be used to find more clues. And so it's just like opening a drawer and sorting through the files in it. But you get the person to willingly go through it themselves and deal with things. If you don't go about it in that way and you're trying to strong arm a person into changing, you're robbing them of their learning. But many people just think that hypnosis is a magic wand they can wave over everything and their problems are going to go away. So I get
Mhm.
people like, can you hypnotize me so that I get bigger muscles and get all these girls and stuff like that? And I'm like, you got deeper wounds you got to heal if you're that's the thing you're thinking about you want, you know? Um, People just come up with some really weird shit salads that they're like, hey, can you hypnotize me to do this? Can you hypnotize me to make my hair grow longer? I'm like, really?
Oh my
Uh,
God.
If that's possible, hi.
yeah, right. Um,
Probably not.
Nope.
yeah. So you just have to be careful with some people because a lot of people really just think it's going to be a cure all, and that it means that they don't have to change anything about themselves,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Lifestyle and mental habits are a big deal in order for it to stick. Because if
Exactly.
you want to quit smoking and you don't deal with the root cause, you might quit smoking for a few weeks and then it comes back. And then you know what you're going to do? You're going to say hypnotherapy doesn't work.
True.
I don't say hypnotherapy doesn't work, but I was off for uh, 4 or 5 years, and something happened, something major, and with a person, and he said, "And now you're going to the shop buy some cigarettes because you stopped for me. I said, yes, I'm going to do that. So I
Mhm.
went to the shop and got me a package of smoke. And I
Mhm.
started smoking in the living room. And he said, I forbid you. I said, it's my house. So if you don't like it, get
Mhm.
away. So it was my own stupid fault.
Yeah, and theoretically, that's because of what's called the ISE, initial sensitizing event, which is when the thing that got you to try smoking the first time activated, it wasn't dealt with.
Yeah.
And so any suggestion similar to the first one that got you to start smoking,
Yep.
light turned on and there
Yep.
you went, you know?
And there's a second one. No one is going to forbid me anything in my own house.
Exactly. And so
Yeah.
that's gonna engage a lot of opposition and it's gonna make you do the thing that you know you shouldn't do.
Yeah,
Hmm.
exactly.
Mhm. Yeah.
What's the only
Well, there's
bad?
also a law of reversed effect in hypnotherapy, and it states that you cannot consciously override something that is subconscious information. You can
Yeah.
try, but you really can't. And the reality is that the subconscious mind for most people that you will meet is just running patterns of 99% of the time. So there's a lot of theories. Some people in psychology say it's 10%. Some people say it's 5% of your thinking is conscious. But honestly, the conscious mind is just that thing that stops you from bumping into stuff. It's the thing that makes sure you pour your coffee creamer in your cup and you don't spill it on the counter. It doesn't do anything else other than that. Depending on your level of stress and we live in this illusion where things are getting better, but things are actually getting worse because there's more information to process. And so,
Yeah.
with the more information to process, the more likely your limbic system is activated. And so, the people that we can't name that are the Voldemorts of the world that try to run everything, their theory is they're creating out of chaos, right? And so, the easiest way to create chaos is to just create general confusion and stress and anxiety. And how do you do that? Well, you put screens everywhere that are going to agitate you. You make people so afraid of everything or convinced that some bullshit is true that's not true. And by nature, people are going to argue for it. So you create division. And people get acclimatized to living in that environment. And it's not a healthy environment. So everybody's walking around with their limbic system firing off. And what happens when you beat a dog? You know, that dog's going to bite the next person that comes along and gives it food, right?
Yeah.
So we basically live on a planet that is run by trauma based mind control because they know the more crap they tell us, the more annoyed we'll get and the less we'll function, right?
Yeah.
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 Yeah. Your logical thinking is disconnected.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hi, Noreen.
Hi.
Yeah, I don't know what the politics want, but I don't even watch the news anymore because I don't want to watch it.
Yeah.
The only thing I
They don't
watch
say
is my
anything of
my
value.
streaming. The only thing I watch is my streaming services. I watch
Yeah.
movies because they're
Yeah.
stupid.
Yeah. And even those things, you'd be surprised. Like the
Oh
first thing
yeah,
that clued me,
Yeah.
yeah. There's actually something called vicarious media re traumatization. So if you watch something, it's a stupid name, but if you watch something, your hippocampus is like the old school VHS, and you just stick in a fresh tape and it records whatever you watch on TV. Now, if you don't have a coping strategy for dealing with a new situation, your brain draws from the library of everything you've ever seen, including what you watch on TV, and it says, okay,
mm,
I'll try this dumb solution. So people will do really dumb things.
Yeah.
And the problem with human beings is, as I said before, it's how aware are you of how aware you are. Can you stop yourself before you do and say something? If you can't do that, you're screwed. And um, most people have a really bad habit of thinking that they're smarter than they really are. So the process of spiritual growth and having better mental health and all these different things is really about realizing how stupid you are by nature of your hardware, right?
yeah, agreed. I couldn't agree
Yeah.
more.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember my boss, the big boss. I was talking to this lady, and she was asking for stuff but using the wrong name, and it was really bad. So I started to laugh, and my boss said, "You don't have to laugh. She even doesn't realize how stupid she is." And I remember that. I really do.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
It's so true.
it is.
Yeah.
I have to cough,
Next question.
sorry.
Um, has it ever happened while doing hypnosis to someone that something else came out except for the person you're hypnotizing?
That's never happened to me during hypnosis, but it's happened plenty of times consciously. Talking to the person and they don't want to challenge the belief system. I've had something happen where I was talking to this one girl and she was into some pretty weird sex stuff. And as soon as you hear pretty weird sex stuff, you know that person's got a demon. But
Mm.
it was sitting on her left side and it just jumped out. It was like, "Ah, I don't want to do that." And I was like, yeah, okay. All right.
Next one.
I'm gonna have to get a baseball bat and bop you over the head, lady. All right.
But is there anything you can do about it when something like that happened?
Again, you have to get the person to realize that they've made an agreement, that there's things that they're doing in their life that let these things in. You have to go through the full spectrum
Mm.
of things, because if even if you could remove an entity, I have a really great friend, Laura Valentine, who is an expert at entity removal and stuff like that. Maybe I get her on your show.
That'd
Mm.
Um,
be cool. Yeah.
she's been blowing up recently, and she's been coined the Demon Slayer. I don't know, but
Oh my
um,
God.
she taught me a lot of stuff about dealing with this in the few years that we've been friends, and yeah, a lot of these entities have masters. So the problem is that they can see down your timeline from even before when you're born to see who you
Mm.
can become. And you often hear like on the internet, stupid internet, people with using words like chosen ones, and Christians say anointed and different things like that. um, in the new age they say light workers and things like that. Those kinds of people, they can see down your timeline and they can see what kind of good you're going to do in the world, and the more good you do, the more they come after you, or the more good you can do, the more they come after you. So they try to get to you early, and they like to say that the earlier they can get to you, the younger they can get to you, is less work they have to do in the future. They work in generations. So if they want to get to you in 2027, they started working on somebody in your family lineage years
Yeah,
ago. And this is
Mm.
generally what people refer to as a generational curse and things like that. So you've
exactly.
got to check all of those things as well. But if a person isn't spiritually open to those possibilities, there's not a lot you can do to get them. So you have to figure out what is that person's faith closest to. If they're an atheist, you're screwed, because then they don't really trust. Um, there's no safety for them in the idea that there's a higher power.
Yeah.
Somebody traumatized them, and they made a decision that they weren't going to believe that there's a higher power no matter what. They're not ready to hear about Jesus or Harry freaking Krishna, So you have to figure out what faith does a person most closely identify with, to figure out how you can get them spiritually thinking about these concepts. And everybody's talking about the same things, just in different ways. And there's a lot of arguments on the internet about that kind of stuff, like, Christians are wrong, and there's a lot of religious trauma. There's a lot of new age trauma too, because then you see the opposite thing. People are like, I was in the new age and it was demonic, and I turned to Jesus and now I'm in another cult. you know I see all of these things. There's this fundamental aspect where people seem to cult hop because they don't believe that supreme wisdom and the ability to communicate with a higher power exists within themselves. They need someone external to tell them that they're right, that they're talking to the right person. But back to Laura, she always talks about testing who you're talking to. So even if you think you're talking to Jesus, you could be talking to fake Jesus, because these entities, some of them have masters that have so much strength that you work with a lesser entity, and then, you know, more wicked entities of the same kind higher up on the spectrum come after you, or their
Mm.
masters come after you, because they want you, because they've looked down your timeline. So you always have to test them. She talks about testing them with salt or frankincense and things like that
Yeah.
in the spiritual realm, not the physical realm. Um, and it's a really interesting theory because it does work. You always have to test everything. You always ask, okay, is this thing of God? Is this thing of the highest source of all creation or not? And it's almost like they have to answer. And if they don't answer you, you know who you're dealing with. It's
Yeah.
not a higher thing, right? Samantha knows all this stuff.
Cool.
So you know all this stuff, right?
Yeah.
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 So I'm pretty wired.
We have a question, and if I'm correct, it's Phil.
Yep. It is.
Yep. Um, do you have any worries that with hypnosis it can rewrite the thought form functioning in one's memory?
The thought form functioning. So are you asking about thought forms, or are you talking about the meanings that a person assign to things, the ways that they think? Because I have something called the cereal box hypothesis. If you have a box of Fruit Loops, that's your belief system. That's I am enough O's. Okay. So instead of pouring some milk on it and eating it, what you got to do is empty the box. So you, each piece, each Fruit Loop individually is a thought that's linked to that belief system. You have to get rid of every single one of those, either unconsciously or get the person, teach them how to ask questions about those things so that they can say, okay, I don't want to believe that. That is problematic for me. Why do I believe that? What purpose does that serve? And that rewires and rewrites those neural pathways that are linked to the belief system. I don't really understand the question. It says rewrite the thought form functioning. I don't really.
Uh,
You're gonna
yeah,
have to clarify that one.
absolutely. Maybe the false memories, maybe he is suggesting that because if you use hypnosis the wrong way, you can give someone false memories.
Well,
Uh,
let's give some examples of the incorrect application of hypnosis,
yeah,
starting with telling people that if you smoke near a baby, it's gonna die. Like
yeah,
you just said,
exactly.
Yeah.
talking about anything that doesn't have to do with what the person's dealing with is an incorrect application. But that won't affect you unless you put the upid in stupid, and most people are not that dumb that would do anything to them, because again, it's collaborative. There's an agreement between you and that person. Potentially the error is in thinking of hypnosis as stage hypnosis, which is, I'll put a watch in front of you, which is mesmerism. It's not all of hypnosis, it's just one way of thinking about
Yeah,
um, hypnosis. Anton Mesmer came up with this idea of narrowing the focus to create a hypnotic state. But as I said, it's collaborative. You cannot make the person think or do anything that they don't want to do. In stage
exactly.
hypnotism, what they do is they narrow the focus by shocking you. So it's like I said, medial prefrontal cortex deactivates. So that's usually when they do really sudden and fast and rough movements to shock you. But also, the reason why that tends to work is because there's usually a sign up sheet that goes around beforehand for people who are willing to participate in the act. Okay. And so people believe that it's true, even the person being hypnotized, because everybody else is going along with it. It's a trick.
It is.
Yeah. Trick of the mind.
So
Yeah,
you can't make anybody. cluck like a chicken or drag their ass on the carpet like a dog or anything like that, you know?
No, I always thought it was a show.
No,
Yeah.
it's a
And then of
trick.
course there's MK Ultra. Can't say that word too many times, even though the Epstein files are. You can't say that too many times, so I won't say it a third time. There's things like that that rely on chemicals to induce really, really deep unconscious states, or torture to induce really, really deep unconscious states.
Hmm.
And then you can rewrite somebody's ability to think. You can create compartments in somebody's brain, alters, different things like that. I've dealt with people who've had alters, and alters aren't really necessarily insidious because you can be working with a person and they're normal and they haven't been trafficked or any other type of extremely traumatic scenario, but the information hides because, as I said, subconscious hates change. So it will try to hide information in other compartments so you don't find it because you're getting a benefit out of it that's so deeply rooted. So all of these are things. I hope this helps to whoever asked that question.
Yeah.
It probably
Um,
does.
we have another one. Are you familiar with Rudolf Steiner's anthropophysical teaching, particularly regarding esoteric training, the beast or monsters?
Yeah, I've read some of that material and I just realized that it wasn't helpful to anything. Not to, if you're into that stuff, I'm sorry if you feel like that was rude, but it's not actually helpful to anything, any direction that humanity is going in. So you got to know when something's going to be good and useful to you or not, and go read something else.
Yeah.
True.
I'm
Clear.
curious though as to what the deeper question behind that actually is, because it was kind of a half question.
It is a half question, Phil. I'm not used to you doing this.
Come on with the rest. Uh, well, I have a question. What's your thought of past life regression?
Past life regression is the thing that actually got me into this.
Oh,
Somewhere around 2015, my friend was like, "Hey, you want to smoke a joint and do a past life regression, dude?" And I was like, "All right, yeah, absolutely, I want to smoke that joint. I don't know about the other thing." And um, back then, I smoked a lot of weed still. And then I stopped after that because I was like, "There's more going on. There's more going on than what meets the eye here with life." Um, and I had this past life regression with a guy called Steve G. Jones. Um, and it took me to this planet. The sky was pink. Everything was very similar to human life. The people were humanoids, but they were also very short. Um, and in that lifetime, I was some kind of military official. I looked over the village at night. I would patrol at night, and I had a thing for the one of the servant girls that worked in the community, and they all had these chambers where they slept at night in this tall tower. And I would climb up into like the first window and sit and watch the whole village and talk to this girl and flirt with her all night long or something like that, right? And they showed me how I died in that lifetime. There was a fire that got started in the village, and I jumped down off of this thing and ran towards it, and there were these creatures. No, they weren't what you would traditionally call reptilians. They actually looked kind of snake like, but they were very big, had these big claws, like four claws. And I was trying to get people to safety and rushing them through this wooded area. And I looked back to call the name of the girl, and I kept saying, "Cat, cat," telling her to get out of there. And the thing slashed me across the face, and I fell into quicksand and died. When I came back from that experience, I was like, wow, now was that the weed or was that me? And 2 weeks later, I was on Facebook minding my own business and I saw a suggestion come up, and it was that girl. So I messaged her and I said, "This is going to sound really strange to you, but I just had this thing called a past life regression, and you were there with me." And she actually was open to it. And she was like, "That's really interesting. Tell me more about it." And without hesitation, she gave me her phone number. I called her. We started talking. We stayed up until like 3:30 in the morning talking about it. I remember her boyfriend was sitting on the couch, very pissed off that we were talking, getting along so well. Um, and she remembered. She got full body chills. She was like, "I remember all that." And she
Wow.
was a bit younger than I was, so um, that was what got me thinking there's something to this. And around that time, I'd been looking into the subconscious mind because through the cult of sex, drugs, and rock and roll, I got involved in things I shouldn't have, addiction and things like that. And I think that my father's drinking patterns transferred over to me because I was just emulating common behavior, like how to deal with stress and stuff. And it was so prevalent. And the culture of the rock and roll thing is you got to be tortured artist and drink yourself stupid. And so I wanted to deal with those things. So I'd been reading about all of that stuff. And that's how it got me. I was like, okay, there's something to this. Now, do I think that people's illnesses are linked to past lives and all this stuff in every scenario? No, I don't. Um, so it's just a slippery slope with the past life stuff, but they do exist. There is some fact there. Unfortunately, the new age has hijacked most of it,
Yeah.
and it kind of trivializes the actual experience in itself because there's a
Yeah.
lot to learn if you can unpack a past life experience.
Yeah. Agreed.
hmm
Definitely agreed.
hmm
Hmm.
I've had other past life experiences as well. I've seen the Chicago fires. I was a young Native American boy, and I saw the sign where Chicago was actually spelled Chicagoa, Checagoa, and I had to go Google it. I'm like, what the heck was that? And I was like, yeah, okay, that's real because I've never been to Chicago. So
Cool.
Wow.
yeah,
Yeah, I did one past live regression,
hmm
and I wasn't. Well, actually, afterwards, I was pretty proud of it, because I was killer for hire.
A
yeah,
hitman,
No, hit woman.
hit woman. Oh,
The biggest ginger there was, on high heels. I killed people with a knife. I had curly hair like this long, like pff,
hmm
I was there. And my punishment, if you betrayed on somebody and I got called in, was I was chopping off your hands.
yeah,
And then afterwards, you were dead anyway. So it doesn't matter if I chopped off your hands, but I like doing it.
hmm
oh,
And I
brutal.
woke up and I was like, what the fuck did I do in my past life?
hmm Well,
Oh
sometimes
my
people
God.
just see past lives in dreams and stuff like that. Like you just get all this access to information.
Yeah.
When
Well,
it comes
this
to the
was not.
mental environment, don't discredit anything for anybody listening.
No.
Yeah. No, no,
No.
no, no, no. I did it in a session because there was this TV program and searching for your past life, and I didn't believe it. I thought it was all bull. So I found a therapist who was willing to do this past life regression with me, and I'm impressed. I was really impressed. But I was in Egypt, of all places, and doing digging for relics and that kind of stuff. And the only thing I do remember very well, it was winter, very cold, and doing being there in regression, I was sitting in the sun with an umbrella, and I felt the sun burning on my skin. It was so hot. And he asked me how I go from place to place. And in my head, I was thinking, well, I get into my car and I drive away. and I opened my mouth and I said, on camels and horses. And in my mind, I was struggling, but I had to laugh anyway. But yeah, after that, it triggered to jump into hypnosis and regressions. And I got my license and I graduated with a 9. So yeah,
Okay.
Yeah,
yeah, it was it was fun and interesting.
Hmm. Yeah,
I still think it's
interesting
fun.
stuff.
Yeah, it's very interesting, especially if you find out things to be true. If you start digging.
Yeah, you have those community in the States and they live in villages. I don't know how they're called. Mormons. You have the
Mhm.
Mormons and the
The
other
Amish.
ones, the Amish. And I did a regression on a girlfriend, and she described the buildings, the clothings, the religion, and she was Amish. And she told me she was in Switzerland. So afterwards, I said, a lot of things add up, but Switzerland, well, the Amish came from Switzerland to the States. So she went back to the 1500s. I had to look it up in Google and in historical facts. So that was interesting.
Definitely is.
After all this time, I just figured out I can pull the chat out and see the questions right there. Told you, you're not as smart as you think you are.
No, I have the same problem with a lot of things. Still in Restream, every single time I use it, I'm like, oh, that does exist. Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. So, any more questions?
Not
uh,
in chat.
not in the chat now.
No.
Um, have you ever hypnotized anyone to be more open to the paranormal?
No, I would
Oh,
never do that. I would never do that
no,
because I feel like that's a you find out on your own terms type of thing. Yeah.
because I saw this film. I don't remember the title, but it was with Kevin Bacon, and they hypnotized him, and afterwards they got him back, but they suggested to be more open to all his experiences. And then he saw this girl, and she was haunting him, and afterwards he found her body. So that
Mhm.
that made me think, are there any people who make those mistakes? Because if you see hauntings and full body apparitions after a hypnosis,
Mhm.
whoa, I don't
No, if
know.
I encounter a person that is deceased, like just recently I was working with a client and he came to me for healing in his back and we were working on it and I made him go inside of a church and he saw a woman that used to look out for him when he was alive and she was still looking out for him in this lifetime and I was like, "Oh, shoot, I got to cross her over without alarming him. How do I do that?" So I had to very quickly figure out how to do that. So if I come across any person that is a spirit, I cross them over.
Yeah.
Usually
Smart.
in a way that won't alarm the client, because some people aren't really into that. Like to this, this is it's been weeks, and this dude still calls me and he's like, "Why is this working? I can't believe it's working. Why is this working?" And I'm like, "I told you it would work. Like I've been doing this forever. It's gonna work."
Yeah,
And
exactly.
he's in disbelief.
Some people will stay in disbelief
Mhm,
forever.
Yeah,
But it does mean that they are, in a positive way, grateful that it happened,
mhm.
usually.
Has everyone a past life? I would have to ask everyone. I'd have to ask every single person. I would say that the vast majority of people do have past lives.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do I believe in reincarnation? If you're asking me that question subtly underneath, I don't know if I do. I don't know if I don't.
I think I do.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm walking the middle path there because I see some people and you can tell, like, yeah, are you just like nuttier than a Jeff peanut butter jar, or like, are like, is this your first time on this planet? You know, like, so I wonder. Like,
With some of them, yeah, I think with some
it's
of
like
them
you
they are definitely new here.
want to pry their eyes open and be like, "Are you human in there? Soul? Do you know what it is?"
Oh my
Um,
God.
so like, yeah, I would like to think that everyone does. It's the theory of reincarnation, or the theories that people come up with, that I have issues with, because you know me, I have questions about them, right?
Yeah.
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 So, do I think there's this soul trap? Do I think the moon's responsible? All this crazy stuff that conspiracy theorists say. I don't.
Mm,
Yeah, I'm not going there.
no.
I'll try to figure out a way to like communicate when I'm dying. You know, just before I jump through to the next side or something. I'll leave clues. I don't know.
Yeah, well, if you think about it, if you have a past life, you did your past life regression, so you know you've lived before this life you're living right now.
Mhm,
How would you end up from that life to this life
mhm.
without reincarnation?
There's just a lot of technicalities in between there that we don't have the answer to,
No, no, no,
and
exactly, exactly.
Yeah.
and people try to take it from us by telling us what it is, and it's like we will never know. You know? So
No, true.
clearly, we
Agreed.
do pop back up here. But is it like whack a mole? Like
You never
they
know.
bop you, they bop you, and you pop up somewhere else. You
It
know.
does explain a lot, by the way.
But that's kind of how they make it seem, you know, like it's a game of whack a mole. They bop you over the head, you die, and you pop up through another hole, right?
You know.
And do I agree with the theory that everyone chooses to come here and incarnate to have a certain experience? I don't, because
No.
again, when you're working with past lives, um, how I ended up back here in this incarnation is I just kind of was trying to get away from irritating the dark forces somewhere else. But some people do choose those things. Some people do remember going to um other rooms and stuff. Yeah, well, it seemed like a room where they saw their family and who they would be and what they would do and things like that.
Yeah.
But other people genuinely don't have any recollection whatsoever, and you look around and it's just not in their mind. So it's one of these situations where you cannot speak for everyone, and then you have to ask yourself that question again: why? You know.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Exactly. Yeah, because
Yeah.
my daughter is a kid that keeps. I chose you, and I picked you as my parents.
Mhm.
So I was like, okay, are you sure you wanted to do that?
Yeah.
She still loves us, so I think she was sure.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah,
If I made this choice, I made the wrong choice.
for
Same.
damn sure. I'm telling you, I tell everybody, if you see me in the line to come back to Earth, push me out that damn line.
Go back.
Yep.
Don't do it. It's a trap.
Yeah, maybe I
There's
make it
nothing to
till the
learn
end.
there. Get out.
Yeah, maybe I make it till the end this time because in Egypt I was 42, and during World War II I was just a kid, and I drowned on a ship, but don't remember my age. But I'm going to make it to the end this time.
Yeah,
Yeah. Stay out of
Oh,
that
Ken
line,
was
Mary.
cooking.
that's why.
Ah, he was listening and not typing or watching.
Right.
Still sweet.
Yeah, cool. Very
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
So I still need to know what's the secondary question behind that first question. Oh, they got
Yeah.
Mary.
Oh no. Oh, there she is. Oh no, she's gone. Oh, there she is. What are you doing?
Nothing.
It was funny.
went black. It went black. I think they are fixing the contacts again. Oh,
Oh, is that time again?
yeah, every month.
Annoying. Very annoying.
Yeah. Did you miss me?
Yeah, it's been a longest 2 seconds of my life.
Okay. Always.
Oh, there goes the teeny peen machine. You get these guys that get these really loud bikes and stuff, and they're just like, ah, look at me doing wheelies. Teeny peen machines.
So funny.
Yeah, love it.
Yeah.
I don't see Phil typing. Phil, we need the other end of the question
Well, maybe he went
Yeah,
to eat this time.
the Rudolf Steiners.
because it's half a question.
Yeah, it is. It is. Uh, I'm digging in my head for questions, but you told so much already.
To me, I'm like a balloon with water in it. You punch a hole in it, and I go.
See, I told you, go with the flow.
Yeah, and it is interesting
It is
for
definitely.
sure. Yeah.
Yeah. Um, one more question from me. Do you also do paranormal investigations?
No, I don't. I don't. I
Ever
leave that to
wanted
the
to?
experts. I've never wanted to. I leave that to the experts. And where that's coming from, really, I can actually see it in my head. Is we used to throw parties at this place when I was a teenager. Um, and it was like way in the countryside, covered with all these trees, and the trees would have these things that were like hanging down from. And it looked like spider webs, and you had to push through it to get to old this old abandoned and broken down house, and we'd have raves inside there, right? And there were so many spirits in this place. And um I remember one night, this girl, she was dancing and stuff. We were all drinking and stuff too, and smoking and doing other things too, probably. Actually, definitely doing other things. And she was dancing and she was having the greatest time. And the whole time she thought she was dancing on her boyfriend, and she was not. Like, there was nobody behind her. And she swore to high hell that there was somebody there. And there was spirits touching us and stuff like that too. But right then and there, I decided I want nothing to do with this paranormal stuff, because I used to watch like TV and stuff and be like, yeah, this is some freaky stuff, and I'm not gonna ever do that. Little did I know, I ended up doing stuff where I would encounter the paranormal anyway by default, and I guess jokes on me.
Phil says, "Hold on, hold on. Geez, I have a chip buddy in in one hand, so typing is very hard for him right now."
Well, he can type with one finger.
He's
Just
probably
put
gonna blame his
down
fingers for being too thick.
Have you ever encountered elementals?
elementals. Yeah, there's some around here. Um, I used to have a gnome or something that came around, and he would just move stuff around, and he'd be like, "Would you please stop doing this?" I actually went outside and was like, "Please stop doing this." It's like, what do you want from me? Like, if you're never gonna tell me what you want from me, then go away.
Just messing with your stuff.
you're,
Hmm.
you're not making this relationship easy.
He has the question. Most importantly, your trauma clients, do they under hypnosis ever mention common themes? Hi, Bird.
Yeah, unfortunately, that's actually his name, by the way. Birdie is his name. Um, you know, most people, I have to be careful how I say this, most people are running very predictable patterns. and it only takes a couple years in it to realize when you see it in a whole bunch of other people. So they mention common things. It's always, I'm not good enough somehow. I'm not safe somehow. I don't
Oh yeah.
believe like God is protecting me. I don't feel safe with a lot of different people in my life, and there's a lot of rejection, resentment, regret, general unforgiveness, grief. So yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Uh, UFO adoptees.
Now he goes into the extra weird zone, and he's like, example, UFO abductees
Yeah.
and the common relationship with owls. I haven't had anybody come across with a UFO abduction story personally yet.
Ah.
Um, and nobody's ever had any relationship with birds except for me, apparently.
Well, I'm guilty as well. I have a relationship with two of them.
You have two birdies.
Yeah.
They talk a lot.
He's like, "What? Oh, you just say birdie? All right, I got an itch. Hold on."
It's
Like,
now
God damn it, still itching.
I'm going to make myself pretty.
Yeah, he's like, I gotta make myself look good now because I realize I'm on the camera.
I love it.
He's looking at you because I know exactly what he's saying too. He's saying like, "Don't laugh at me. Like, I cannot turn this off. This is my default behavior, and I'm aware of it, but I can't stop it." This is not a full bird in here. I keep telling people this is not a full bird in here. Because how I
no.
ended up with him was just funny.
Phil asks, "Is that a Barbados chicken?"
No, no, it's a scaly naped pigeon. They're indigenous to the Caribbean and they migrate and stuff like that.
I like it. I
But he
like
doesn't
it.
want to leave me. He fell out of a
Um,
tree when he was like 2 weeks
Oh,
old,
ah,
and his
yeah.
parents never came back for him. And as soon as he saw me, he just ran towards me. He was like, "Are you my daddy?"
Super
And like
cute.
when he was old enough to fly away and stuff, I was like, "Okay, go." And he was like, "No." And he's just been with me ever since. He's like, "I'm with you for a reason, so stop trying to
yeah.
kick me out." Yep.
Yep.
There's always a reason
He's a
for
very
that.
clean bird too. Like
Yeah,
people
they
think
are.
that like people think like, okay, does he shit everywhere? And he doesn't. He knows to go in his uh cage where there's newspaper and everything, and he doesn't make a mess really.
Cool. That's a good bird.
Yep.
Very good bird.
Yeah. Yeah,
This is
Calvin likes pictures as well. I like them as well. I
They're
like
really fun.
all. Oh my God. It's
he's
like a
talking about
photo
me.
bomb.
Hello.
Talking about me.
Oh.
Hey bird. Hey birdie. He's checking you out. He's like,
Yeah.
what?
Who are you?
It's even funnier as he disappears off the screen really slowly.
Exactly. Like you don't see me.
And then jumping out again.
There he is.
There he is. Yeah.
Disappears and he comes back. He's like, what?
I love it. I love it when animals work with you.
All animals everywhere are like this with me though. Like they just see me and they're like, hey. My girlfriend calls me flock daddy because chickens just love me.
That's cool. Yeah, I love
Yeah.
chickens as well. Chickens are cool.
Yeah,
Mhm.
absolutely. What's the age of the bird? Yeah.
His birthday is July 23rd, so he'll be 2 years old.
Cool. Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, took us a while to
Almost.
write that one out.
Almost there.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I am out of questions. I don't know. How about you, Mary?
Yeah, I'm out of question as well. And we hit almost the max time
Yep.
for Spotify. So
An hour and a half. We're almost there.
exact, yeah. So you have to come back in the near future to talk more about hypnosis and
And more scary stuff that has happened to me.
Oh
absolutely,
yeah,
absolutely.
definitely.
Okay.
Ooh, hello.
Now, I was looking here to see. I gotta go to view channel and look at my videos to see the schedule here. Shane and Mary. There it is. Premieres in 14 days. So May 21st, you will get to see Shane and Mary talking to me
Nice,
That's
nice,
on
cool.
Boundless
That's really
Authenticity
cool.
podcast.
very nice.
Yeah.
Absolutely. We share out. So
Yeah, we definitely will. Definitely will.
absolutely, absolutely.
All
All right.
right.
Well, thanks for
Thank
having
you.
me.
Thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah,
Anytime you want to talk, you know where I'm at.
Yeah, we will know where to find you. Definitely. Um,
absolutely.
to everybody who watched and interacted with us, thank you so much for interacting and watching. And in the future on Spotify, everybody who listened, thank you so much for listening. And we will be back live on Saturday.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
And if I'm correct, we're going to be on one screen.
No,
No,
I'm
we're not going to
driving.
be on one.
No, no, no. I'm driving back because we have a 9 p.m. show.
Party pooper.
I have to be up at 6.
Party pooper.
6 a.m. because my nephew is getting the small one.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, to go to swimming lessons. So I won't manage to drive home after the podcast. So I'm sorry.
I'm going to cry in the corner.
Okay.
All right, everybody. Thank you so much for watching. After I'm done talking, I'm going to click everybody in the back,
Yep.
and we're gonna end with the music again. Um. All right. Thank you
See
so
you
much.
Saturday.
See you Saturday. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Stack, think the unseen crowd. Fingers tapping on the veil too loud. Voices from the cracks in the floor. Shadows bending where light won't go. Chasing truth in a haunted show. Are they real or something more? Psychic dreams or skeptics grin. Ghosts of questions circling within. Answers vanish before they land. Investigators with their tools in hand, talking to the dark like it understands. Spirits rising from the sand.